the record button here and see how are we doing with Celtic ukulele. Um, any questions, concerns, triumphs, um,
It's
hallucinations? Yeah, Carla.
it's really hard to get up the speed.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you're not kidding. And so if you, especially with the tune, the thing is, it's like this deal. If you keep at it, and if your form is even in the ballpark with this, and you keep doing it, in like a year, you will be significantly faster. And then you get to a point where you can play it, and then it's like, oh well, you don't even remember. It's like, oh yeah, there was a year and a half there. I couldn't play this, past 40 beats a minute. But it really is, and I assume you're talking about the tunes and the yeah, and picking them, and it just and I think even just sitting there and practicing each string, and doing cross strings, because that's how fast you can do that will determine how fast you can play it. Now, the other side of it is that there's so many of these other parts, these like counterpoint kind of parts that are a lot easier, so that you can connect to the tune. I mean, the other thing with that, I think, is that the more you hear the tune, the more it goes in here, and the more it's likely to come out here and here and here. So it's like, it's been amazing, and I've seen like people, like, I think Gina, who's done these classes here, maybe she just has the fast twitch gene, but yeah, I think I've seen her speed come a long way with this, as with Shannon and David, as well. But yeah, just stick with it, and it will come. You won't notice it, you know, and you'll just click it up like 5 beats more and 5 beats more, and then pretty soon you're like 40 beats faster, and just staying with it. Yeah, Heather.
Two things. I found to be true what he says. If I just stick with the song, just even casually over a long period of time, it gets so much better and faster. And then the other thing was I watched over the week of freezing week here in Texas. We watched the Titanic. I don't know if you seen the big one, and I think it's got John Ryan's polka in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, is that John Ryan's polka in that? Yeah, so that was pretty cool. So if you get a chance, listen to it, and you'll be like, "Hey, I can play that song." Anyway, it was
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And it's a cool one. Yeah, and that group is cool. They do a lot of Celtic stuff, and kind of bring in some different kind of rhythms, some kind of more rock rhythms, with it. Well, any other questions, comments? Yeah, Angie.
Oh, I'm having a quite a hard time with the fingering on the melody one for the wind that shakes. So when
Okay.
we get to that, or if you have a video somewhere or something, the left hand
Sure.
fingering would be really helpful. Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah. And we can start with that. And it's funny. I know I've confused a couple people, and some people say, "Oh yeah, I love that song, The Wind That Shakes." And what's the song, The Barley? I don't know. And it's like, no, The Wind That Shakes the Barley is the full title of this song. And I think it like maybe, yeah. So and it got separated, as I was writing it out here. But yeah, The Wind That Shakes the Barley is the tune. Some of the those Celts are a little bit long-winded, and so that's how you know I must be one of them. So let's start there. And and I might even refer. I know Pete sent me a email that I didn't get back to him with, but I figured we would just talk about it here. And it's just been so chaotic. But he had questions and answers, I think, about that wind that shakes the barley. But I'm gonna just start out, and I think it seems like it works better if I. Well, let's see. Let's see if I stand up here or sit down. I'll just sit down. I like to take these things phrase by phrase. So this beginning phrase is totally, let me get this down just a little bit more, in what would be called the second position. Calling that the first phrase. So second position means my first finger's on the second fret. And we're just, that's the span of notes, second to the fifth fret, one finger for each fret. And so there's a little bit of a barring thing there, and I'm guessing this is not exactly what you're talking about yet, Angie, but I want to just go through the whole thing. And getting that triplet, down, up, down, down, down. And there's that second part of the phrase. And I am playing it with two shifts. And there'd be a bunch of ways to play it, but this is the way I would recommend. And then go into that. There could be other I find if my first finger is leading the action, it makes more sense to my brain. And then I stop that finger where it needs to. So I'm going open, open, second, open, fifth, seventh, ninth, 10th. And the reason I did this here, it's a symmetrical shape, I guess you could say. 1, 3, 4, 3, 1, 4, 1. And that D scale just works out that way. And then it's back to the. Oh yeah, I was playing it too slow, so I don't play it like that. So I see what I'm doing here. Yeah, I do that mandolin style fingering. First, second, third, fourth. Whoops. People trying to get in here. And let me see where Angie is. Is that the section, Angie, you were looking at?
That helps, but I also, in the B part, I just kind of gave up.
Okay. And these B parts are tricky, and they're also, it's so crowded up there. But as we're getting there, the second time. Then I shift. And I never move.
Okay.
And again, this is all about D, and playing that D with your second finger, and that's the tonal center, and that's where I can play that whole part. With my finger there almost the whole time. And I could even go, which I think Dina talked about. Uh, so the first section is in the second position. Then it's kind of transitioning to the fifth and the seventh, and then the B section is in the ninth position. Means first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger. But the fourth finger, because those frets are so close, can extend to the 14th fret. You can get into all that, rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen kind of stuff. So staying anchored there would be really helpful. So I'll say a way that would be a great way to not play this or to confuse yourself more would be if I'm making that transition. If I'm lifting off, every time I'm not connected to the instrument, my brain is losing like the grid of what's going on. And that's why I want to keep either like that F sharp there or that D there, or both if I can. So I know where I'm at. And then I start to even go D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. And the scale is just right there. And that's all we're doing like 95% of the time in these tunes. Every once in a while you get a cool one that will have an A flat in it. Here and there, it's kind of cool, or an F natural or something. But most of the time, it's completely diatonic.
What am I doing? Oh, Kevin?
Yeah.
For just a second, I hit my camera on. This is Carla. Hold on. I'm taking a picture of the. Yeah. Okay. There I am.
Okay.
Back up to the second measure at the top, part A.
Okay.
All right. So you're in the second position on the B, B, A. When do you switch to that fourth position and fifth position and seventh position? Exactly on the notes. I can read those notes.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not looking at the music because I'm just trying to get my here.
Oh, okay.
But here's the
For the count.
So, yeah. So, right there, I've got to get to the fifth, seventh. So I'm just traveling up there. So wherever.
Okay.
The D, E, F sharp, G.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, and so this little movement, and it's really cool. It's got this very let your fingers do the walking. There'd be a lot of ways to play those same notes. You could go up and come back down. But since you're already up there, I feel like you might as well just kind of anchor. And find that there's a B, a C sharp, and a D on the E string right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that little move, just going really slow with that. And another way, I'll talk through it finger wise. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So open, open, one, open, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 1, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1. And that's a pretty slickly organized way to play that. Now, some people maybe, there's other ways to play it, but that puts it, once you get here, I'm just like, well, let's stay there and finish that phrase. So then you move back down.
Okay.
Yeah. You could, you could play the whole thing up here too, in the 7th position for the A section, and then go to the 9th position for the B section.
Oh, so like on those, on the second line, instead of going back down into second position, you could play them up there.
You could, yeah. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I end up just trying to do it. The most beginner friendly way is always in the first, or with the most open frets. And the other thing here that is kind of cool is that melody 2, I guess it's called. Like I said, I don't have it in front of me, but it's is that it does. It goes down an octave instead of up in the middle of it, but it's the same notes, and it's that idea that like a penny whistle part often does that. Cool. And so Pete, I wanted to make sure I understood what you were asking, and always figure it might be of use to the group.
Actually, I can pass because I've gone to uke too.
Okay.
So I gave up on that. But I was just trying to make one move rather than two, and
Got it.
repeat what you were calling, I guess, a mandolin fingering when you were up on the neck on that first
Yeah.
tune,
Okay.
rather than making two moves, because it just seemed, two parallel
Yeah.
fingerings on both strings.
Yeah. And the place where, especially, as you're the newest person to the instrument here, the place where people are going to get into trouble is when they're shifting, and yeah, so that makes sense. Stick with that. Well, let's play this darn thing, and we'll get used to it. Let's see here. I gotta figure out a 2-screen situation. This is at 110. That seems fast, doesn't it? Let's we'll build up to that. Let me go to 95. I think okay. That would be about here. I'll even slow it down a little bit more just to make sure. I don't want to run all you nice people off. Okay, here's 90. We'll try it there. Yeah, pick your poison, pick a part, and we'll see what we can do with it. We'll just do an AABB. and the B section. Yeah, yeah. Let me go back into family mode here. All right. Is that tempo doable? We good? Ish? Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Let's take it a couple more times then. Let's just let it run a bit. And does anybody have any questions about any other parts other than the melody one?
Can we run through the counterpoint also, Satya?
Sure. Yeah.
Because you know what, I started to do that just because it made me count, and I don't like to count.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why they call it counterpoint. Yeah. Well, let's do it. Let's see if I can do it. I should. I wrote it. Let's see. Yeah. And so that's the feel of that. And if I'm going through the count of it, and you know, it is, we want to get the feel of it and like the gestalt of it all, but we also want to know what the count is. So this one is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 3, 1, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 3, 4 for that section. And then we have that 1 and 3 and 1, 3, 4, 1 and 3 and 1, 3, 4, 1 and 3 and 1, 3. Oh, let's see. I lost my place, didn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1. Yeah, and those little parts are really, I love them. And they're really fun. They add a lot to it. So let's do something. Let me get rid of a couple of voices here and kind of accentuate that. I'll thin it out a wee bit, and I'll take that baritone part out because the lower notes make that seem more counterpointy. Okay, I'll play the counterpoint this time. And is you know, humiliating and embarrassing as it can be to try to count these things, man, there's no substitute for it. It's really really good. Okay, we'll just play this a few times. Maybe I'll switch parts even. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And a little thing that I never write into these, and that would be common sense, but let me just show you. And if I was playing that part, for instance, that counterpoint, play like the last 3 measures or so. It would not end there. It would end 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. End on a D on beat 1 on the following measure. But we end up playing these so circularly and however many times. But just knowing these tunes would end on the tonic or on the 1 there. Another thing about these counterpoint parts is kind of fun, is that the rhythms, if not the part themselves, are interchangeable. And so that you could take the rhythm for the B part, try it on the A part. May or may not fit. But you could take this whole part and probably try it on 10 other tunes, and it'd probably fit on 3 or 4 of them. And so there's a lot of kind of bang for your buck with this. And it's if the chord progression is close enough to the same, it'll work. Or you just changed a note or 2 here, but you keep that rhythm. And so it's kind of cool to tune into that and to hear it in that way. Cool. Going back to family style here. Any other questions? Anything with the wind that shakes the barley? The barley? Yeah, Carla.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm full of questions.
That's good.
Going back, where you're telling that and I understand, we can switch this, instead of going down here, we can play it up here. We were one of the orchestra group, Bellingham. You worked with a lot of the people there. We were doing, and I know we're going to do this next week, but it's on my mind, so I want to ask it. One of our members went ahead and did the part with all the notes up here instead of the ones down here. And the question was, does that make any difference musically? Would you ever not want to do it up here? When when it's down here?
Well, it depends on your ears. It depends on your instrument. Some instruments, the intonation may be more likely to go out the higher up the fretboard you go.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But but another strike against the way I did it is that it's combining open strings and fretted strings. That way would be all fretted, so the tonality of each note would be more similar.
Okay.
Yeah, the thing, it's just like at a certain point, I just try to get people started and point them in different ways. And yeah, you can write your own, it's an A is an A, but you've got 4 choices on an A. You got there, you got there, you got there, you got there. Oh no, there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear that one's a little out of tune. Yeah. And so yeah, it's kind of up to you and how comfortable you are with it. But yeah, that's a cool idea. Who charted that out?
I don't know if she's been here. Helen, what's Helen's last name? She used to be a drummer in a symphony back in the Midwest someplace. And so she charted it out. And so I helped her with the chart. I proofread it. And so I've been playing that. And then I just realized this last practice session that there was some question that indicated other people were playing it the way it was written on standard notation, which was about 4 lines compared to about 12 lines of the kind I was playing. And they got into the discussion of whether, Gail McDonald from Bellingham. You stayed at her house, I think.
Yeah, I know
Gail
Gail
well. There. Mm-hmm. And she's no longer the director, but they said, well, I think Gail liked it down here, but they weren't too sure. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was just curious because I didn't realize everybody else was playing the standard notation. It's about half a page for Drowsy Maggie, and they weren't playing the one up here. So
Ah, right.
yeah,
So a tune like Drowsy Maggie, you know,
yeah,
to use those open strings
yeah.
is so easy. But to have to fret all that, it's a little different. I've never tried it, and maybe it's great. Um,
Do you want me to send you the copy she made?
I'll figure it out. But thanks. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I'm so used to playing it this way.
with the open strings. So play it up after you learn the up the neck thing. Let me know whether you think one's more effective than the other, tonality wise.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Those are two on adjacent strings there. The speed of that seems so much easier than either doing it. Yeah, that seems pretty clunky, but I'm just not used to it. It's so
Yeah.
easy here.
Okay.
And it's easier for me to get that ba-bum, da-da-da-da-da-da-dun-da-da-da-da-da, that kind of feel for it without having to think so much. But everyone's brain's different and everyone's hand's different.
Yeah. Well, she's trying to learn that up the neck stuff too.
Yeah, no,
The
that's
person, the
Yeah.
drummer who.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
So Kevin,
Yeah.
one thing I've been playing this bass with my index finger on the 7th fret for the whole song with the orchestra in Bellingham since I learned how to do it. And I don't think my uke stays in tune very well on those higher notes. So rather than tune open strings and have it right way down at the bottom, I've been tuning up around the 7th fret
Yeah.
and just making that
Oh,
work,
interesting. Huh.
faking it.
Oh, okay.
Uh.
So let me just get this straight. Are you guys playing these tunes up there?
Some of them.
Oh, cool.
Barley and Drowsy Maggie.
Oh, cool.
And Shabag Shamor, we used to play with the orchestra also.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I love that one. We could do that one here. Very cool. Well, yeah, and all of this stuff, what works, ultimately, I hope everyone has enough of an arsenal of information to, rather than going, oh, Kevin said to do it this way or Gail likes this, is like, what do you like? And what works for you, and to try a few ways and go, this is the best for me. And then that's inarguable at that point. But there's not like one right way to do it. And if this were a guitar class, nobody would be tuning their instrument in standard tuning. And so that's like all these tunes are like it's in like dadgad tuning or different tunings. So instead of EAD GBE, it would be like DAD GAD, something like that. Which is a whole different thing. But it's good to get your brain around it. We're gonna keep this just tuned this way for now. But let's jump over to that Drowsy Maggie tune. It's such a good tune. It's also a reel. We're in 4/4, and it's definitely a tune, and that if you were at a session and said Drowsy Maggie and played it in this key, people would be like, yeah, it's Drowsy Maggie, by God. Where I think it was Charlie, I think you were talking about playing with some people at one point, and somebody had played a tune like in just a complete weird key, and it didn't go over well. And and you played something, and it was like, oh, okay, it's in the right key, Was that this tune? Was that Drowsy Maggie?
No, I don't know.
I don't remember what it was, but this one's really cool, and I'll start with that tune part. And for a teaching perspective, there's no question that the place to start that A section is on the open strings. And as I look at it, I just see, whoa, I don't know. Sorry, having some weirdness here. Sorry. Okay. It's got this E, B, E, D, E, B, E, E, B, E, A, F, D, F. And to me, that's just like free money when you've got that drone of the E. And this is, I want to talk about, whoops, people fall out every once in a while. Talked about like everything's in the key of D. And then you look at this one and it's, E. And that's an example of modal music. And so it's based on the E note, but the notes are from the D scale. And it gives it a cool sound. Gives it this ancient sound that goes well with that E5 chord, that like 4-4-0-2 chord. And modal music was around before Miles Davis, believe it or not. And like he kind of brought it back though in the mid 50s. And that whole cool jazz thing was really modal. But it just means basically that we're using the scale of one key and a tonal center that's not the root. So in this case, we're using the E. And just to give like a little example of this, because it's really cool and you could hear it. You just may not know what to call it, sometimes. Let me see here. See if I can pin myself. Okay. So like I have a D scale. And if I start on D and end on D, it sounds like the D major scale as it is. But if I started on E, it's the D major scale, but I'm going E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, E. Now it sounds so natural. And it was big in medieval and Renaissance music. It's not exactly minor, and it's certainly not major. And no other scale puts the notes in this order. So it has a really particular sound. I won't get into all the Greek names for all this stuff, but if we looked at it numerically, we're still in the D scale. D is 1, E is 2, 3 is F sharp, 4 is G, 5 is A, 6 is B, 7 is C sharp, and 8 or 1 is D. So we're starting on that 2. And when we start on the 2, that's called the Dorian mode. And so we're going to use the chords from the key of D. And in this case, this is like, I feel very happy to have brought this to the ukulele. And this chord is so awesome. And it's like a power chord, like an AC/DC kind of chord. This E5 chord, this like B, E, E, B. Just two notes, E and B. But it gives a feel to this that most people would write this on ukulele as an E minor. For whatever reason, I guess I'm a rocker. That sound just crushes a part of my soul. And this sound sounds so right. It's so ancient. And Celtic accompanists leave out the thirds all the time. And so that is just a way to get this kind of bouzouki-ish sound and this really cool two-note sound that doesn't clutter it up and doesn't say, oh, it's a minor chord. It doesn't give it that feeling, but the notes themselves get more feeling, if that makes sense. To me is just, it's like punk rock almost, those kind of chords, and really cool. Does that make sense? Did I lose anybody with the modal thing?
We'll never come back if we get way into modal. We'll be gone.
Okay. Well, you know,
it's beautiful though. It's really cool sounding.
That's the main thing. Yeah, it's just, it sounds awesome. Yeah.
One thing I was just playing with a little bit with this was, instead of strumming the whole chord, just picking 3 of the notes instead of all 4. And that's kind of fun because you can do a lot of arpeggiating that way. I don't know if it's a good thing with Celtic or not, but
yeah, it's good with any music. Yeah, because right now we're just trying to learn how to play like one part or play it kind of well. But if we were like really trying to do justice as a group to this music, everybody playing all their parts all the time at the same level would be pretty static. It'd be pretty tough. And so that's a great dynamic weapon. You know, that you could play 1 string, 2 strings, 3 strings, to build the music up. 1 strum, 1, 2 strums, 4. Triplets and all that stuff. But yeah, that's an often underused thing. And if you got a low G, trying to leave out that G really thins it out. And then you can save that for, you can still fret the chord just like you would. And then when you add it, you feel like some extra. Yeah, people often don't look at that, and it's pretty cool. It works great in like solo arrangements as well. Okay, let me, yeah, and the main thing is, so if we just listen to this tune for a second.
Kevin, I have a question.
Oh yeah,
Susanna here.
Yeah, Susanna here.
You know, when you start, you have the 4, you have that E, and then you do the, but the 4, that E, like Campanella, keeps ringing. Or at least
yeah,
mine
right.
it does. So can we put that 4 in on the 3rd measure instead of the 0, so we maintain that same Campanella there?
You could. That 4 is a mistake.
But I like that 4.
There you go. Well, then you could even double it. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you could just double it.
So anytime you do that pattern, that 4 just continues, or E continues to ring through it. If you have a ukulele that will ring.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the beauty of the uke in this kind of stuff. Because like
Yeah.
if that was a violin or something, that would be horrible.
Uh,
Or an accordion, an instrument that really carries a note really strong and loud. But this, it just sounds cool on a
yeah.
string. Yeah. Well, let's listen to this for a second. But yeah, that's cool. I like this. This is I like getting all the other perspectives on this. It's very cool. Okay.
I like that 4.
Susanna, you're not muted.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
So you really hear that that is in D major, you know. This combination of chords is very D, and then it switches to that E feel. And the a lot of Celtic music, when it does that, you know, that modal stuff, they'll go for a real dramatic approach to it. You hear the bones being played on that, and kind of sometimes triplets and stuff. This is a cool tune because it's got, you know, it's kind of comedy and tragedy, but it starts with tragedy, which I guess is the way you want it in life. Get it out of the way early, and then it's all fun and games. Except the comedy of this B section is kind of tricky. I'll at least do an intro to this because there's something really kind of hard in the reach. So in doing a lot of cross picking across the strings. And that's the tricky thing, is trying to keep centered on that D and going all the way to that 7th fret when we have to double back. I'll show you again, and just watch this. It's kind of crazy, but I don't want to lose my place because then I have to kind of get found again. So I'm going. But that's just the closest D, so it's the only one that makes sense to play. But it's quite a stretch.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
It's more elementary, but in this song, in the 2nd fret, when you have to go from F, D, F, the last 3 notes, how do you do that smoothly?
On the A section, on the
Yeah, on the A section. How are you doing that last little?
let's really utilize the technology here.
Are you just barring both notes?
Yeah.
Oh, you're just barring the notes and just hitting
Yeah.
both. Okay.
So I wouldn't
Okay.
go.
That's what I was trying to do.
Yeah. And
So
so
just
finding that
okay.
thing, if you watch it from this angle,
Okay. Okay. Got it.
yeah.
Okay.
One
Thank
thing I
you.
love about Zoom, there was no way in a room together that you could kind of get the angles and perspectives on this. Let me just kind of get dig into. I'm gonna skip this harmony part, and you know, I'm a bit of a compulsive arranger, so it's fun practice to to do these things. I don't know how realistic they are, but I'll skip to the counterpoint. And so for this one's a lot easier to count. 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. A little different. And then 1, 3, 1, 3. Okay. So I'll talk about this, but I'm just kind of muting to make it more percussive. I'll show you just by itself what that sounds like. And we've had discussions over the years with this stuff. Do you need to use a pick on a counterpoint part? And it's up to you. If you want practice with it, you can, but you could also play it with your thumb. But this muting, I'm just taking my palm and putting it real close to the bridge here, kind of a karate chop right by the saddle, and then playing the part and pushing it into the strings. I don't even remember. And it becomes more like surf guitar. But it's a cool technique. You can kind of see that the lines of the bridge and saddle are now on my palm. And it takes a little while. Sometimes people have a hard time then picking a string. It works really well on the lower strings. So keeping that like a tune like this. I probably wouldn't do it, you know, like on the tune, you'd want that to ring. Wouldn't be much of a reason. But it does become more percussive there, and it's something you can play with, and it's kind of thinking of it like a way to dampen the song a little bit. Let's see, Ron's had a question about it. Okay. Just a cool little technique you can do. Any questions so far? I'll go into the chords with this because there's a lot you can do with these chords. Okay. One way to kind of get these chords, and there's 2 sets of chords, so I'll make sure and go through both of them. So like, if I just get rid of everything except the tune for a second, I might have to crank that up a little bit, center it. I'm going to play the chords that are in the book that include this very almost like a newgrass revival, this G sus4 would not be a typical traditional Celtic chord, but it would be somebody who's kind of modernizing it, and a lot of people do, and you hear that, and especially on guitar. But I'll play these chords, and I'm just going to play them as they're written, which means that's the rhythm. That sounds kind of cool. It really gives it, like I said, a modern feel. I'm just doing a thumb strum. So there's a little movement in these chords. But now I'm going to play these other chords down here, and it's just a little bit different. And I'm going to put some different rhythms to it. And kind of we can talk about that. But I'm going to demonstrate something else with this E5 chord. This chord with this modal stuff, you can just only use this chord, and it sounds so cool. And then you could build up into a... And a lot of times there's just this kind of one chord drone. I could just play D this whole second section, but that D is not going to sound totally right on the, doesn't sound right there. That needs that E. So you can play with this stuff, whatever you can hear, whatever you can feel with it. But so the tune is going to be the tune. You want to play the tune as cleanly, as clearly, as accurately, as consistently as possible. And you almost want to do the opposite with the chords. And first of all, not play them at all, and then play them very sparsely, and then add rhythm, add more chords, and build it up to something and break it down. You know, there's a, if you're playing this with other people, there would just be a natural ebb and flow with it, and you'd feel it. And when it's going to the peak, you want to be, you'll be playing as hard as you can and digging into something, and it's very powerful. But it's the rhythm that makes it powerful. Which is really interesting, like so much music. And then the rhythm strips away, and it just has a life to it in that way. So, and we'll get into this, especially with the jigs stuff, because I did a little bit of homework that Susanna pointed me toward last semester, just listening to this stuff, the modal stuff, it's really great practice just to get it in your head. You don't have to change chords. And it's more primitive, more powerful. And you know, it can be really cool coming back to that static chord, or really powerful when you change to like the G and the D. But there's, I just can't emphasize it enough that there's, you know, people argue over how the tune goes because it's different in County Kilkenny than it is in County Mayo, you know, or it's the song has a different name. No, it's not that. That's not that tune. That's whatever, you know. But it's pretty much the tune's the tune, but there's no harmony. The harmony is whatever people make up. But these kinds of tunes, as I've listened to them, often just get harmonized with one chord, and it's so powerful. And it's so easy, but it's a way for you to explore. You know, I wouldn't get into, oh, is it down, down, up, up, down, or am I? You just don't even think about it. Just feel it, play to the tune, and so you can take this easily on Sound Slice and mute everything except the tune, and just play to the tune. And normally, in a session, the tune would just be by itself the first time. So everybody's going, oh, here's what tune it is. Okay. And you just hear it. But you don't hear it with the metronome traditionally. You just like start to kind of accentuate it a little bit. And I'll sorts of ways. Do it. I think we got some unmuted folks, but
Sorry.
no worries, no worries. Tell you what, you know what? I'm a fan of chaos, and I don't get to hear much sound other than my own talking, which is starting to drive me crazy. So let's all unmute. And this is going to be a disaster, but I think in the spirit of
We did this with banjo lilies one time. It was a disaster.
good, good.
We'll rename it Trainwreck.
Yeah.
But here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna play the A section here. I'm gonna play it over and over. I want you to just practice that E5 chord and put your own rhythm to it. That's all we're doing. E5, 4-4-0-2. Yeah. All right. A 1, 2. A 1, 2. Ready and.
Not except
Beyond the disaster.
Once more with feeling. All right, I quit. That's it. I can't do this anymore. Nah, that's good. I think it's even if it's all the latency and everything. Imagine it would sound so awesome if we were in the same room together. It's good for me. I just need to hear something else other than myself once in a while. Any questions with that? Does that give you? It seems like there's plenty to work on between Drowsy Maggie, The Wind That Shakes the Barley. We didn't even play John Ryan's polka today, and we can get into more parts of that. All those and the baritone parts can be really fun. If I was gonna I'll give you one more thing, and this just you can just using this as a percussion instrument. Can be another really cool thing in this. And so I'm all about like the dynamic possibilities of a song and not having it just be a flat line of everything all the time, and how to kind of pepper it and allow people to have their own sensibilities to go, hey, everybody's playing at full blast right now. I'm going to start pulling back. And then somebody else will go, oh, they're and the music can take this shape where you're moving together. And that's where it's really, really cool. The communication in that way, it's almost impossible to have, but using this as a way to prepare you for that. And to practice little elements so that, and we may be God, this just occurred to me. This is crazy. But we may be like holding this music because, nobody knows what's going to happen or when people are going to be playing music together again. So this may be like, we may be doing more important work than we even realize. Any questions before we go?
Should we be printing off like the counterpoint? I've just been using my book, but I know you've got lots of different parts in the resources.
If you want to play them, I would say if you want to play the part, print it out. If you don't.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like everybody has to play every part. It's really a choose your own adventure kind of thing. And some folks might do better, playing multiple parts in here to keep them sharp and on their toes, and other people might just be like, I'm just lucky to get one part per song, and so it's all good. Um, the thing I just think is like to get a part that will connect you to the song so that you can play it pretty well, and then upgrade yourself, if you're playing a counterpoint or something. So next week there is no class. March 3rd is a bye week for me. We will be back here on March 10th, and March 17th has a very powerful significance for people who play Celtic music, because it's the only day of the year they get like free beer. And so we'll have to figure out a way to wrangle that. But that March 17th will be a Wednesday. And so we may have to have a party. I might make some corned beef or something.
Corned beef.
Yeah. Some cabbage and yeah, maybe throw in some potatoes. So I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Wait.
Thanks a bunch, and it's good to see y'all.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin. So
Corey, hold on.
What song should we have ready for the